Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Penn Voice. I'm joined today by Claudia Olalla, who is the landscape designer with the City of Redwood City in their Parks Department. And I'm also joined by Jill Asher, who is the founder and executive director of Magical Bridge Playground and their foundation. So Jill, I'm going to start with you. Our viewers are probably saying, that sounds really fun. What's a Magical Bridge Playground?
So Magical Bridge Playgrounds are intentionally designed playgrounds for absolutely every single person in the community. It welcomes the very young, it welcomes the able-bodied and those with varying disabilities, and it also welcomes our aging population. And it's a place that everybody at every stage of life can play at.
Now, I know throughout this program, our viewers are going to be seeing pictures of what the Magical Bridge Playground looks like in Palo Alto. And now we're here to talk about the Magical Bridge Playground in Redwood City. So I think I'm going to toss it over to you, Claudia. And when will it be opening? And tell us a little bit about the design and how the city was involved.
Well, we are targeting early 2020. For us, that means the first quarter of the year. That's when we're hoping to open. And in terms of the design, it was really based on the design that Magical Bridge in Palo Alto was designed, which is basically in zones, so play zones. So brings a predictability to the playground as opposed to a typical playground you might find.
Right, and so, and Jill, how is it different? So I know when we hear the word playground, we all think of slides, we think of swings, we think of things that turn. It sounds like it's all of those things, but it's just the ability to access it and use them are different for different ages and able bodies. So tell us a little bit about those nuances.
Right, so a traditional or typical playground that you find in almost every community and in the schoolyards are what we call post and platform structures. They're interconnected and they're confined, and they actually don't meet the needs of absolutely everyone in the community. Right. They started getting designed that way in the early 1990s when the Americans with Disabilities Act came about and wanted people, especially that had mobility issues, to be able to access them. But they really didn't think about most people with disabilities and differences, be it autism, cognitive disabilities, the aging population, those with sensory challenges, and the medically fragile and those living with visual and hearing impairments. And so what we did is we actually sort of took apart the traditional post and platform structures and created very open environments and we selected equipment that welcomed collaboration and participation for all ages and all abilities.
Now, is this sort of the first of its kind? Or were you traveling somewhere? And I mean, how did you come up with this idea? What inspired you?
Yeah, so the playground was really, the idea of the playground really came about with my partner in the foundation, Olenka Villarreal, who has two daughters, one with a disability and one without. And she had a very, very hard time taking her two daughters to any one playground to play.
Makes sense.
And so when we came up with the idea of putting a playground in Palo Alto, the city gave Olenka a lot of land and said, okay, well, you go build the kind of playground that you think we should have, because none of the playgrounds met her needs, which was very generous and very wonderful. And so we actually went on the internet and looked and said, all right, could we find something that we could copy? Right. And there just wasn't anything. There was accessible playgrounds, or what's dubbed as inclusive playgrounds, but most of those playgrounds are really only thinking about those who have physical limitations and not those with other cognitive disabilities. And so that's what really sparked the idea. Right. And we went into a think tank for many years working with inclusion experts and disability groups and understand, like, how do those with autism play? What do they need? What does the senior population need, the aging population? It's not that we as adults ever outgrew the need to play, it's that the playground industry didn't keep up with our needs. And you and I and everyone listening to this should be playing at every single stage of life. Right. And there's such profound benefits to that.
And so now we fast forward. you found a site in Redwood City. It's actually at the back of our Red Morton site off of Olalla Road. It's under construction, so people can certainly drive by and see the dirt and everything tumbling, because it now actually looks like a construction site.
Definitely.
But Claudia, give us some examples of how this playground is going to differ from the playground that is actually 200 yards away at Red Morton Park, where we you called it a post and platform structure. Post and platform structure, which tend to be very condensed and dense playground structures. This actually spans a very large footprint.
Right, exactly. So the post and platform is typically a deck with the platform and then at either end there might be a slide or a climbing
module attached to it.
Right, exactly, and then you can kind of attach different things to it. Right, so you get a lot of bang for your buck, but it certainly isn't something that everyone can play on. So the playground in Redwood City, which again was based on the design in Palo Alto, is very expanse. Like Jill said, it's very open, and it has a spin zone, a slide zone. It has a swing zone, and several others, like a tot zone, for example. So the playground there is it's multi-level. It's going to be a very dynamic playground as well. It's not in this small little space. It's very open. So
like, let's take a slide for example.
Yeah.
We have grandkids. My husband's 6'4". He tried to take his grandson down a slide, but couldn't, because the top of the slide was a dome, and then the rest of the slide was open. He couldn't actually fit down it with his grandson.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how are the slides? So, and you're saying you want this for every body, every age, every generation, every mobility type. So how would a slide, for example, just be different in a Magical Bridge playground than it might be in these post and platform?
Well, basically, one aspect of it is that the Redwood City one is going to have 5 slides in the slide zone, which is more slides than we've ever had in any other playground. And you basically go up a ramp to access each of the slides.
Instead of the traditional steps.
Exactly, yes. And then the slides are a little bit wider, safer to hop on and then slide down. And at the end of the slide, you'll have a dignity landing, which is something that was developed with the Palo Alto playground, where it gives the kids that might be a little slower to get off the playground, a place to slide over and let the other kids keep going.
Or even an older adult.
Yes.
Who might just need a little time gathering themselves.
We have many adults, many seniors who are experiencing the joy and the fun of sliding in their later years of life.
Right.
And it is quite magical. And so almost all of the slides at the Redwood City playground will have those dignity landings, which are unique to Magical Bridge. So we did come up with the concept for that.
And I love the idea that they're open and they're wider. Yes. And I know from the Palo Alto site as well, some of them have ridges, so that will slow down some of the sliders. So that if you have a younger person or someone who may have a little bit of fear because of their own ability to hold themselves or sit up, it gives them the idea of being on a slide, but keeps them at a pace that's manageable and not so anxiety ridden. I know sometimes if I go down a slide, I'm thinking that was way too fast.
Well, there will be different lengths of slides, so you can kind of choose, which one you feel more comfortable in. And what's nice about it is, over time, when you come visit again, you might challenge yourself and go to the next size.
Right. And I know, and we could talk all day about the differences and the nuances, and people will be able to see them with the photos and in some of the videos that will be provided with this segment. But even the swings allow for children and adults and seniors to lay down, to have more, so that they're not required to sit. It could be multiple kids on a slide. So your founder, right? So both her daughters could sit on the swing and swing together.
Right. So and in Redwood City, we're going to have many different swings. We're going to have the bucket swings. We're going to have disc swings, so that some of them have a hard surface, some of them have a net surface. So we really looked at what was really successful at the Palo Alto Magical Bridge, and we learned that we actually didn't get it all right. Right. So some folks wanted those traditional swings, and we kept saying, well, you can go to the other playgrounds and do that. We were going to just put bucket swings and disc swings in Palo Alto, but now we heard from our users they wanted different swinging experiences, and Redwood City really took that into consideration, and we're putting a lot more swings in.
Yeah, we did. We very much curated all of the play equipment based on the learning experience from the Palo Alto and our own experience, and also, you know, play equipment changes, and there's all new stuff coming out all the time. So we really took the time to research and.
So before we ask you what is each of your favorite feature, I do want to talk. You had mentioned cognitive differences. So some kids might have a sensory overload kind of challenge that they're trying to overcome. And playgrounds can be loud and boisterous and kids screaming and yelling, but sometimes kids may just need that sort of either quiet zone or a much less anxious zone, you know, with so much activity. You're even thinking about this.
I'm so glad you're asking about this. So this is where we didn't even get it completely right in Palo Alto. At the time, we created these little pods where folks could retreat and then come out when they were ready in each of the zones. And we heard from our users that it wasn't perfect. And so we actually worked with our treehouse designer, Barbara Butler, who is just fantastic and a genius with the way she creates the treehouse and the use of wood. And so in many of the zones, we are putting Barbara Butler retreat huts that are going to look, they're going to be sort of dome-shaped, and there's an opening, so if you are in a wheelchair, you can access it as well and turn around, but anybody could retreat and then come out when they're ready. And they're beautiful, and I think it's going to really be a big focal point at the Redwood City Magical Bridge Playground.
And so I want to move on. I want to get your thoughts on what's your favorite feature of the park.
For me, well, there's so many. I mean, there's so many great aspects to it. At this point, I think it's the fact that our tot zone, we were able to incorporate it into a grove of redwoods, large redwoods, and to have the kids be able to meander around it and have interaction with these trees, for me, is a great aspect to that.
And as a landscape designer, that might be the right answer.
It was exciting. I mean, it was an exciting opportunity
You're so
to do that. Yeah.
I can only imagine what this means for you as a landscape designer to be doing something like this. We could talk 15 minutes about that. And Jill, what about you?
So I think what's going to be a little bit different is the Kindness Corner, and we are going to be working with a muralist to create the most beautiful, dynamic Kindness Corner, words of kindness, a beautiful art exhibit, and it's going to be stunning. Absolutely stunning.
So we've only got about 2 minutes left, and I know that there's so many different zones. You've got water features. You have so many different kinds of creative things. One, if people want to get a sneak preview of what your architectural designs have been, or they want to visit something or head to the Palo Alto, what's the website that they should be looking at to kind of give them a sneak peek?
So the Magical Bridge website is magicalbridge.org. And there's a button on there that will click to the Redwood City project. So you can see some of the schematic drawings there, but you can also see all the other projects we're working on as well.
And I want to give a shout out to your supporters. You don't raise the kind of money to build a magical bridge playground without community support. We know the city of Redwood City, all of its staff, its elected officials, its policymakers, all of the staff have been extremely generous to work with the Magical Bridge Foundation to do this. But you also have to have a lot of generous people that come together. What would you like to say to your donors and your friends?
So we've had over 800 individuals participate in giving for Magical Bridge Redwood City. We've also had all of the public schools raise nickels, dimes, pennies, and quarters. Thousands of families and kids participated to raise over $35,000 in change for the playground. This is an incredible example of public-private partnership coming together, and I have to say, everybody in Redwood City, everybody from city staff, Park and Rec team, elected officials understand the importance that this is going to bring a sense of kindness and respect and dignity for every single person living in Redwood City. And we are so incredibly grateful, and it's going to be a model for the rest of the country to look at.
Well, Jill, I want to thank you and your co-founder as well for bringing Magical Bridge Foundation and the Magical Bridge Playground to Redwood City and to San Mateo County. Thank you so much, Claudia, for being such dedicated staff and a member for this team and for bringing it also to Red Morton Park in Redwood City. Can't wait to be at the groundbreaking and the ground opening, I guess to say ground opening. And we'll see all of you next time at the Magical Bridge Playground.